Hi, good
Welcome,
afternoon.
everybody.
Yes, welcome. This is Marvy and
Christy.
and we have this website called This Journey Called Life. You can find it at marvybenayad.net. And we're going to be having this podcast, bringing our discussions out to, whoever wants to hear what we have to say.
Yeah, and our goal is to slowly but surely create a community where we as Christian women can talk about our struggles, obviously, our faith, our hope, where God is growing us in our lives, and basically we want you to come along for the ride. For the ride, and I know that we'll grow from your input. And Marvy's going to tell you how you can participate in these podcasts that we are airing. We will have a space and a place for you to comment, questions, kind of become part of this community with us. So Marvy, where would that be?
Yeah, so that's going to be, again, like I said, it's This Journey Called Life, but you'll find it at Marvy Benayad, MarvieBenayad.net. On there, we're going to have a tab called Podcast, so you'll be able to click on that. You'll be able to hear which podcast we have, and then you'll be able to leave any questions that you may want answered, or maybe even on further discussions you'd like us to talk about.
Yeah,
so we'll have it all on
absolutely.
there. So we'll be excited about
Yeah,
that.
give us your ideas.
So I guess to begin with, we want to introduce ourselves. So Christy can go ahead and start.
Yeah, my name is Christy. Marvy invited me to participate in this podcast, so I'm like, yeah, this sounds interesting and fun. We'll see where it goes. I'm a mom, a wife, a friend.
That's me too.
My kids are grown, so just kind of venturing out and doing some different things by trade. I'm a massage therapist, which I love. I love interacting with people on that level. Yeah, that's about it.
That's awesome. Hey, and she's my bestie. So for myself, my name is Marvy. I am also a mother, a wife, a sister, a daughter, a friend, all those great things. And just wanting to say that with this podcast, we're going to be having discussions maybe on books, life events, things like that. So just kind of putting that out there. Just like Christy said, we're just kind of having these open discussions, being real, being relaxed, not getting too deep into things maybe that are out there, but we will in our discussions just hoping that you will enjoy the time together with us, like we're just sitting around here maybe having a cup of coffee, or having a drink in hand and just hanging out like in someone's living room. And that's exactly what we're doing. That's what we do all the time. So we're just inviting you for that. Today the topic is gonna be on a book. And Christy's going to kind of introduce you a little bit in regards to this book that we've gotten into, that we have really enjoyed, and it's encouraging. So we wanted to share that with you. So that's what the discussion is today, and Christy's going to tell us all about it.
So the book is Lioness Arising by Lisa Bevere. She has written many books. She's a speaker. You can find her on YouTube and Instagram and things like that. But this book in particular we chose because Marvy got inspired by the lioness and how fierce lions and lionesses are. And the subtitle of this book is called Wake Up and Change Your World. And I think for Marvy and I, we are at a place in our lives where nearing 50 or past 50.
Hey.
And we are really surveying our lives and say, wow, life is short. We want to have fun. We love our families and all of those things. But more importantly, inside of us, there's just a longing to make an impact with our lives, a longing to be a difference in this world. And for me, I get intimidated by that because there is so much need. And in this book, she talks about that. You can look in this world the way it is and get so discouraged and bury your head in the sand. But if you look at a lioness, she is not cowering. And through this book, she talks about all the attributes of a lioness. And she wants to let us know, women, of the church that we are lionesses, that God called us to be fierce and do amazing things. I love that verse in the Bible that says the people who know their God will rise up and do exploits. They're not going to sit and cower in a corner. And I've spent many days cowering in a corner, not feeling a direction for my life or exactly what I could do to really make an impact, not a name for myself, but to make a difference in somebody else's life. It could be something small or something big. But anyway, that's the premise of this book. It's called Wake Up and Change Your World. That's the subtitle. And we're going to just talk about how we can do it. What has prevented women from feeling like they have a voice in our homes, in our churches, in society. God has given us a powerful voice, and God throughout the scriptures has used women to bring about first the birth of Jesus Christ. I mean, he could have done it any which way. He's used women to lead nations in the Bible, and God has not called us to cower. But I think it's important that we look at the challenges that women have had centuries past, even in our decade, in really recognizing our voice and what God has called us to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then just basically kind of just letting you know, we're going to not do the whole book today, because I know probably y'all are going like, what? Like, oh, I ain't got time for that. But we are going to, we're going to try to grab it by chapters, maybe have a handful of chapters. We're trying to go through maybe the first half of the book this time, if we can get through that. And then, for the next podcast, finishing up the book. That way it'll give us all time to interact. If you want to go ahead and leave some questions or thoughts on the podcast, this journey called life, you can go ahead and leave all that information, and then maybe with our second podcast we can answer some of those questions, or even discuss some of the things that you wanted to know. So I guess we're going to start with
we can start with this verse that is in the first chapter, and I love it, just the power of a lioness, because I think that women, not every woman, but I think women can definitely feel challenged in feeling that their voice matters, that they have power, that they have powerful influence. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully you do feel like you have power, influence, but that's not the case for everybody. And I know for me, in my background, I had to work through some self-esteem issues and really coming to understand the person Christ called me to be and made me to be. Maybe life circumstances have pushed you down a little bit, or you grew up in an environment where you weren't valued or praised. And coming from that angle, for me, I've really kind of just awakening to the fact that, wow, I do have a voice. Right. God values my life. And the verse in the book that she uses is from Numbers 23:24. It says, "These people rise up like a lioness, like a majestic lion rousing itself. They refuse to rest until they have feasted on prey, drinking the blood of the slaughtered." Now, we're not going to go into the second part of the verse, but it's just showing that she's fierce, and we as moms know that we can be fierce when it comes to our children, and we need to recognize that fierceness lives inside of us, but it's not necessarily our power. It's Christ living in us, and it doesn't mean I'm going to be powerful to be raising my voice and kind of, having that type of control, but the control of the Spirit of God inside of me is quite powerful.
Right. And here in this part where she's reading in regards to that, that verse that she says, we have here that Lisa, she goes on to say, she wants us to get this imagery of what she's talking about here, like a lion and his lioness rising up out of the grass. As they rose, the dynamics of the plane changed from peaceful to electric. Every living creature sensed the lion's change of posture and watched attentively. The golden ones were awake, stretching, testing the air, surveying their domain, and ready to make their move. And I feel like I wrote a little note here for myself that that's how we should look as we're moving about, how others see the Lord through us, as we're getting up, along with, they call Jesus the Lion of Judah. And this is kind of what that circles around. It's like we're not just getting up doing it on our own. There's a leader. There's, we're following the Lord in this. And I just thought that was really, really important to put here, putting that that imagery for us.
And I like the premise of the book is that lionesses, she kind of surveyed lionesses for quite some time and did a lot of research in the Bible about them. And of course, we know they're fierce and majestic, and they're the hunters. They go out and get the prey, but they work together with other lionesses, or we can say women. They work as a group, and that was an eye-opener for me, because Marvy and I wanted to start this podcast, even as friends, to kind of go deeper, not to have just a relationship where it's kind of, frivolous, but something where we can go deeper, and we can do that better together.
Right.
And if we look around at the women in our church, in our community, wherever, your friendships that you already have, how can we do this together? How can we encourage each other to use the gifts that God has given us to do something great in our lives in this world?
Yeah, and there's actually a chapter in here that's called Greet and Groom, which is really awesome. That brings that out like in such a powerful way.
Yeah.
We were all excited when we were reading about it. It's like, what? You've got to read this chapter. It's like so great. And it does talk about that. I don't know if we want to get started there, or do we want to
Yeah, we can talk about that. Might as well. Just about the way they groom each other. So there's first of all, go ahead, talk about how they meet each other, because lionesses know each other by scent. Okay, so they may see another lioness, but they don't necessarily know if that lioness is part of the tribe just by her appearance, but by the scents that she smells off of them, and welcoming people into our own tribe. How important that is, that we don't, as women, somebody could come into part of our group and try and be a part of us, and we could be critical. We could be, looking at them and giving them a once over to see if they're my kind or whatever. But how we want to welcome them into our pride, our tribe, and become a part of our group.
Yeah, and this we're talking about this this greet and groom. It talks. There's a little piece here that talks about greeting each other, and how the lionesses, if you notice, like when they're smelling, they smell. They're young, they're babies, but they even smell each other, and it's not as to say, you're here, you're dangerous, hey, I better step back, but basically that's actually a welcoming that they do, because on this where it says greeting each other, it says that it's almost like saying, hey, we're related, and on you I detect a familiar scent, because they're all together, we're all sisters, and I'm here for you, and I know you're here for me. And that's basically what this chapter talks about with the greet and groom, is this togetherness that we're going to have with other women. And again, we're all from different backgrounds, we're all from different places, ages, time, all those kind of things, but it doesn't change that we have a voice, and we should be using it to help encourage and build each other up. And so this book here, when she's comparing it to the lioness, it's really powerful, because they don't mess around, and they're very strong creatures, but yet they love and they protect and they care, and it's not only their own. And this chapter talks about how even they take care of other the other little what do you call them, little tigers? Little cubs.
Are they cubs?
Little
what
cubs.
Are they?
That it's not just their own, but they take care of even each other's. And first and foremost, it's not only taking care of your own and watching out for danger. It is that they are, if there's a young one there, they're there to protect everything all the time, or keeping them out of harm's way. And that says a lot, I think, about with women, because we have such a big heart, and we have this tender love that it doesn't just stop at your own children. It goes on to the world. The word even talks about how we need to be, well, in regards to the children, but we are the voice for those children. We are the voice for those that they can't speak up for themselves, and I think that we really show that as women, to be accepting of others, And so what else?
I love that. I really love that because that goes right back to what she says, wake up and change your world. And just this little analogy and how we can be like these lionesses and how we can welcome in, whoever it is, whether it's another woman or whether it's, a neighbor or a child, how we can be the hands and feet of Christ in showing the love of God, and how it's not that fierceness that we're talking about is powerful, but it's not necessarily, meaning conquer and destroy, but extending the love of Christ.
Right.
I love the parts of the book. There are so many where she talks about what is hindering women from fulfilling the greatest good in this world. What are some of the things, even think in your own life, that are hindering you from doing something great, doing something even today, extending that hand of kindness or friendship? What's preventing you from forging that friendship? For me, I'm an introvert. Marvy's an extrovert.
Hey,
Marvy will have a party every day of the week if she could.
Yeah, my door's
and
always
if
open.
I have a party, it's going to be her party, and then I'm going home for a week, and I'm going to hide in my cave because I'm utterly exhausted. And that's okay, because that's the way God made me. But just getting out of our comfort zones and investing in those friendships and all these different things that are there for us to do, whether it's, showing compassion, it takes effort. It takes sacrifice, but you know what? It's worth it. In the end, it's really worth it. And as I was reading this book, I started to think about, wow, what are the things that are hindering me from living this life of influence? And she talks a lot about women being asleep and not really awake to what we could be doing because of different things. It could be our fear of looking out into this world and not wanting to invest in this world because we don't know what to do, or it's so bleak, we're so afraid, or mostly we just apathetic. We're so used to hearing and seeing the things that we see that it's kind of like, we can feel something. We can feel sadness. We can feel grief. And then it's so easy just to push it aside and just keep on going in what we have planned in our lives. But we want to push past that. We want to push way past that and start living a different kind of life. And I love it when she says in this book, she goes, "Sadly, I fear we are like a sleepy bride who tosses and turns on her luxurious bed, surrounded by pillows in an attempt to muffle the very sound that might awaken her. How loud must the alarm of our time become before we are roused and fully awake?" First of all, she's talking about the time in which we live is bleak. I mean, the needs of people around us and in this world are so great, and our eyes should be open to that. Our eyes should be looking around and seeing where we can be the change. And I love this, tossing on her luxurious bed. Who doesn't love luxury? And it doesn't have to be a bed. It could be any kind of a thing that just puts you into a little bit of slumber, causes you to forget about all the things that are happening because maybe you don't know how to cope with it. Maybe you don't think that, you can make a difference in this world. And I do it. I do it by watching Office and my favorite TV shows and getting on that Twitter darn and looking at all this, fun stuff. It's not bad. Or Facebook or these things to drown out the emptiness or just the voices of like, wow, what can you really do? But we want to start making a change. Marvy, we need to do that. We need to think of like legit ways that we can talk to our podcast peeps about where we are like really going forward and taking a step and joining you guys with us to do something this week to wake up, to get off our luxurious beds and start living a life that is maybe a little more sacrificial. And maybe you are living a very sacrificial life and you've got kids and that's what you're doing. Be proud of that because there's a season.
Oh, yeah, I did that for many years.
There's a season for everything. And I'm just in a different season where I've done that. And even in that season, that is such a powerful, influential place to be. But how does God want to use us? What gifts has He given you because he's certainly given them to you to move us forward.
Right. In the book here also, there's a part in here where she's talking about that, we need to awaken something wild, wise, and wonderful in us. And when I read that, I was like, wow, that's really great. Well, she's this chapter that she was talking this about, it was called A Force Unseen. Things that you wouldn't expect, when she's comparing it, like, of course, like she does with the lioness. But she also says in here, like, I challenge you to ponder this idea of women coming together for good. She put in here in the book that by looking back to the 1800s, we see a time when women had little or no voice. By looking around, we realize the importance of our voice. By looking ahead, we know that we must construct our words and lives in such a manner that we build wisely in the future. And in this part here, when she was talking about that, she asked the questions like, how do you view yourself? Your femininity, your beauty, your strength, your purpose, your marriage, your world, your God. I mean, this is really important. And so it challenges us to, interact and develop these relationships, not just with women, of course. I mean, this talks about women, but, men, our friends, our family, in this area here, when she was talking about that, I just thought that was really encouraging to say, like, we have this. I love that she kind of puts it out there like this. I think she says something like, meek is not weak. She says something in here. We can be these women that we've been, however it is, humble, gentle, kind. Don't make the mistake, she says, of imagining meekness to be weakness. It's tempered strength or might under control. And I love that because, we can do this. Sometimes we get lost in that. Like we don't understand that we can be, have this strength that comes from the Lord. Not being like, I think I talked with Christy, bold, like being bold, it doesn't make us, we're out there being rude or being loud but we have this like humble and gentle and kindness in us, and the Bible does talk about some of even times that people mistook, even like with Moses, I guess, remember, like when he couldn't talk
right.
Good and all that, and he was always like worried, like how can I be used? Stuttering. Well, we see how that was used. So just that chapter there in regards to A Force Unseen. I wanted to talk about something on here, but I'll let Christy keep talking so I can look for it.
Oh, yeah, no.
Say it.
You know
so I
what?
can talk about it.
We probably overdid it.
That's okay.
Because
we'll be able
ears
to
are
cut
probably
stuff.
stuffed. But there's so much in this book. And we are actually, I have a couple more chapters and I'll be done. But I'm going to go back and read it again because it's so rich with just good, godly, I don't even want to say advice, but admonishment, like something to stir you and to make us realize our value and our worth. And it's not about, wow, like we've come to this place where we're so strong now, let us pull you up out of the mire. No,
Right.
it's let's come
Absolutely.
together and we can do this,
Together.
We
That's
can
what
do
it's
this
about.
together. And some of that is admitting where we're weak, And that's where we get our strength. Saying, wow, this is really a place. That greet and groom part was really good because there was also, besides the greeting, which is so important, and I'm going to work on that myself seriously this week, is the grooming, because I don't like to be groomed. If I have a tick on me, just leave it. Even if I get Lyme's disease. No,
Girl,
I'm kidding. But
I ain't taking
but where
it off.
we are to groom each other. If I see something unsightly in Marvy, do I trust our friendship enough where I can actually tell her, I can, groom her to be a better person, or she could do the same for me. in a gentle and loving way, of course. We don't want to discourage each other, but to have that authentic relationship where we care enough about each other, where we take times like this, where Marvy and I will come together and really talk about life. Or even if it's not on the podcast, we'll call each other, text each other, and, you know, let's pray about this thing that we're struggling with. You know, that's community. You know, that's being there for each other. So,
yeah, so we're hoping. I know we've kind of like rambled all over the place. We were trying to be organized here, but there's a lot.
That's what women do. If you haven't read the book, Men Are Like Waffles and Women Are Like Spaghetti, you got to read it because it's all about how men compartmentalize things in their lives and in their brains.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about one thing, you're sticking to that one subject. And women are like spaghetti. So if I'm over here, I'm going to be all the way on the other side of the plate talking about something because in our minds, everything is connected.
Right.
Our relationships,
Right.
everything finds
Absolutely.
a way to something else. And it's not that we're flawed. It's just that we're like spaghetti.
Well, just I think Christy, you know, if we were gonna close it up a little bit, maybe because you were like we're getting
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I just wanted to say something before we close. Just, you know, we just want to have this like really relaxed place. I would hope everyone will see it as a safe place. I certainly feel that way. So there's a part in here just in closing up. It says that it's time that you knew who you are. It's time that you're stirred, provoked, enticed, and awakened. You know, we have this, we have this dynamic of ease and strength and rest with power. It's a very telling and beautiful image of godly women. And we can be at ease with our strength and at rest with our power because it comes from the Lord.
Right.
And it's just, it's through us that we, that we have that strength and that rest and power and all that is filtered through Him. So look at it like that when you're listening to us. It's not, maybe it's our discussion and we'll try to be a little bit more organized, but for now, just understanding that this is, a safe place, and I hope that you, get something out of our talking back and forth discussion here with us, and kind of letting you know a little bit about us, and let us hear about you as well. And if there's anything else you wanted to put in there.
Pick up the book, Lioness Arising by Lisa Bevere. Wake up and change your world, and you will definitely be challenged. And until next time.
Bye.